Everywhere you look, homebuyers are under attack. If you plan to buy a home in the next few years, you need to pay attention. The National Association of Realtors commission settlement that just came out should make homebuyers worried more than anybody else. This changes real estate forever and impacts home sellers, home buyers, and realtors. But it's the buyers that will face the most uncertainty. The National Association of Realtors, the NAR, announced a settlement that would pay $418 million in damages, and more importantly, would change the guidelines that would make real estate commission fees more transparent for home buyers and for home sellers. The rules won't go into effect until mid-July 2024, but there are a lot of questions yet to be answered. Like, how much will home buyers have to pay out of pocket? Because most likely it will be something. Will hundreds of thousands of realtors and real estate agents go broke or out of business? How about home sellers? How much will they have to pay in commissions, if anything? And will this make homes more affordable in the long run? Will home buyers be the ultimate losers when these changes go into effect? Before I provide my take on this monumental change, let's understand what's changing and why. Buyers will now be required to sign agreements to work with agents, just like sellers do. They might possibly have to pay commissions out of pocket and may end up paying more for a home, not less, as expected. The buyer broker compensation is no longer allowed to be included on the MLS or the multiple listing service, and buyers are now required to sign a buyer representation agreement, which includes the buyer broker's compensation. Why is removing the buyer broker compensation from the MLS important? Assume you're a realtor that represents a buyer. You have a client that's interested in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, let's say in Austin, Texas. When you find the 3 homes that fit your client's needs, which home would you hope they choose to purchase? Option A, $775,000, a little over 2,300 square feet, and the buyer broker commission is 2.8%. Option B is $850,000 home, 3,800 square feet, and the buyer broker compensation commission is 2.8%. And option C, a $1 million home, a little over 4,000 square feet, and the compensation to the broker for the buyer broker is 2%. The client really likes option C as it checks off all the things they really want. Option C will provide $20,000 commission to the buyer's agent, while option B would provide $23,800. You know this because the buyer broker commission is currently listed in the MLS property details. Some buyer brokers may be skewed towards option B, given the additional $3,800 in commission that they stand to make from that sale. Therein lies the problem. If an agent knows they'll make more from a property over another property, they may try to steer that buyer towards the home for the sole reason of making more money. Let me explain using another example outside of real estate. Have you ever searched online for reviews on a specific product or service that you're considering purchasing but had difficulty finding what seemed to be honest reviews? Maybe you're looking at getting a new credit card and want to see what real people had to say when comparing one card to another. When you searched the internet, you couldn't seem to find many websites providing reviews on that credit card you were interested in. But you noticed something interesting. The same 2 to 3 cards were being reviewed on other websites. What's happening is the credit card companies for those 2 to 3 popular cards are likely offering a higher affiliate commission when someone signs up through their website. This means that referring the website gets paid a commission when you enroll in that card after clicking the link from the review site. That review site is driven by making money, which makes sense, which can lead to reviews being skewed towards products that pay more in commission. This is exactly what's happening in real estate when the buyer's agent can see what commission a home seller is willing to pay. This is no longer going to be the case, which should help reduce that conflict of interest that's happening. Another part of the settlement is that buyers will now be required to sign agreements before working with agents. Currently, the seller has to sign a contract in order to work with an agent and has a promise to pay at the time of closing. Going forward, buyers' agents will have to sign a contract as well. This is great news for the buyer's agents, but not for the home buyer themselves. This change will protect buyer's agents in the event the buyer decides to switch agents. For example, this happens quite often, but if they had a friend or a family member who was now a real estate agent and they wanted to switch to them, in the past there was nothing stopping this from happening. But now, with a contract, it will limit that wasted effort that the buyer agent went through. Buyer's agents may offer a flat fee or an hourly rate for their services, but this would come out of the pocket of the buyer, that's assumed. Another option is the seller offering concessions at the time of closing to help cover the cost of the buyer's agent. But this can impact other aspects that there's a limit on a percentage of concessions depending on the loan type. Most buyers are limited to 3% in credits by lenders. So if you use those towards the buyer's agent commission, it can limit any potential home improvement credits, such as maybe a new furnace or a roof that may have been included in the offer previously. How will this impact the first-time homebuyer? Most first-time homebuyers have limited funds, and coming up with 3 to 5% for a down payment is hard enough. Now they're going to be required potentially to come up with an additional 1 to 2% towards the buyer's agent's commission, which will be potentially a deal breaker for most. First-time homebuyers are the ones who need the help of an agent the most, but they are the ones that don't have the money to pay for that extra support. So what can we expect to see as far as changes in the real estate industry? Currently, there's approximately 1 million realtors in the United States. This should limit the desire for people to become an agent, as it's going to add another layer of complexity. Most new real estate agents start as buyer's agents until they can build up a book of business that has enough referrals to capture more listings. Ultimately, we're going to see the winners be the sellers, the listing agents, and the losers are going to be the buyer's agents and the home buyers themselves. It's likely we will see some brokerages also go out of business or drastically change their business as they try to adjust to the new ruling. It will bring better agents to the top of the table and also push those that are just treating this as a hobby and not as a profession. Will home prices decrease? Well, the general consensus amongst most real estate professionals is that it won't decrease the price of homes. The home seller is not going to reduce their asking price just because the buyer now needs to go out and pay for an agent outside of the seller's contract. What kind of technology could improve the home buying process? Well, there's a good chance we'll see new technologies pop up that try to take or make the buyer's agent obsolete. It could look like making the home viewing process much more realistic online. There will likely be a big push towards streamlining the home showing process as well. I would say better video technology that would include augmented reality when you're viewing a property. This would help ultimately save time of visiting the property for the home buyer by letting also potential buyers into the home and viewing what it might feel like and look like, and reducing the foot traffic in the home so you don't have to clean it as much or prepare for showings. The contract process could be more automated and faster to make offers. There will likely be a lot of new companies looking to capitalize on the shift in this industry. What if I just want to be my own buyer's agent? Anything's possible. Trust me, you can do anything if you want to learn it. The problem, though, is unforeseen issues that only the experience of being in the industry can provide. I've done a lot of things myself over the years, made a lot of mistakes, but mainly because I just wanted to learn what to do or how to do it. But when it comes to contracts and the legal side of the real estate issue, you want to have a professional involved, trust me. Is the American dream of home ownership dead? Well, according to CBRE, achieving the American dream of home ownership has become increasingly challenging, with new research indicating that mortgage payments are projected to exceed rental costs for at least the next 5 years. Research reveals that the average monthly mortgage payment for a newly purchased home now surpasses apartment rents by 38%. While these costs historically align pretty closely, average mortgage payments, including taxes, have risen by 75% since late 2019, creating a persistent gap between mortgage payments and rental costs. While all of this sounds like the death of the homebuyer, the reality is we just need to wait until summer of 2024 when this National Association of Realtor Commission settlement changes and actually goes into effect. If all of this sounds really confusing and you're wondering if you should just consider renting versus buying a home, I get it. I spent $300,000 over the last 5 years renting versus buying a home in Southern California. I don't regret it, but there were a lot of lessons, and I'd recommend watching this video up next if you want to hear what I have to say about renting versus buying.